The plan is to go game hunting in 4 different places. We've got a Goodwill, a pawn shop, a regular thrift store, and an antique store. Hopefully we can hit these places up and find some good stuff, so let's head out to the Goodwill first. This is my local Goodwill store that I always am checking out. First off, I stopped at the cash registers where they have this rack of games, where I ended up finding Beyblade Metal Fusion Battle Fortress for $3.99 on the Wii. I grabbed this because it did look interesting. Then back in the back, they actually had a ton of games here. Some stuff that I wasn't really interested in, a lot of sports stuff, but it is awesome to see old Xbox original games, but nothing really here that kind of caught my eye or something that I didn't already have, so I just kind of checked it out and looked through it. Then I went to the back side of this where I found even more games, a bunch of Xbox original games as well, things that just kind of caught my eye here, but this bike game looked interesting, but I don't know that I necessarily need it. And then I ended up finding Fable for the Xbox original. This is an amazing game. If you don't have it, I'd say pick it up. But since I have it in my collection here, I just kind of left it behind. So the only thing I did end up finding was that Beyblades game. I looked this up. This is worth about $8 to $10 complete like it is here, but when I checked the back here, it definitely looked interesting, which is why I ended up picking it up. But let's go ahead and go and check out my local pawn shop and see if we can find anything there, maybe. So I headed into my local pawn shop, which can definitely be hit or miss on whether they have games in stock or not. They had a bunch of games here, but the only thing that caught my eye was a Wii Gummy Bears game, and honestly, I didn't need it. But when I went over to the consoles, I saw that they did have a Borderlands triple pack, but they wanted $25, which seemed to be a little expensive for me, honestly. So I ended up heading next door, which is where the thrift store is, and I checked it out. I ended up finding these Wii Fit boards. They were $50, but they were marked down to $12.95, which is absolutely insane. Then I hit up the game section where the only game I found was Kinect Adventures for the Xbox 360. So I decided it was time to leave there and head into the antique store, which I always end up finding some good stuff at. First thing I saw was this creepy looking mannequin, but right next to it was actually a power cord for a PlayStation 2. But they wanted $5 and it was a knockoff. But it was interesting to see that. I kept walking through the store when I ended up finding a stack of Xbox One and PS4 games here. Nothing too bad here. I saw this Kingdom Hearts 3 and I was kind of interested in it, but I ended up putting it back just simply because I don't necessarily need it. I already have a copy and it was pretty normally priced. When I ended up looking it up, I did see that I could have picked it up cheaper somewhere else where it could have been tested and all that stuff. So I put this behind. I might have picked it up if I didn't have the game already, but all the rest of the games in this stack were just sports games or games I already had, so I kept looking. I made my way down the aisle looking through a bunch of these booths here, but nothing really caught my eye, so I managed to make my way to the booth that is owned by the owner of the store here, where he has a glass case with a bunch of games in it, and a bunch of Barbie games, but I'm not really interested in that, and some NES games, but I ended up heading behind it where they have a ton of games, and he actually has a good selection here today, which is always good. I love seeing different consoles and stuff like that in his section because he prices games pretty good. Here is the NES section, and he had a ton of copies of basically the same cheap games, and all of these games I already have, so I'm not really interested in picking up. And then I ended up finding this loose disc copy of Mario Kart 8 for the Nintendo Wii. Not a bad price here, honestly, but I just don't need this, so I passed on it. And right next to the shelf was a PlayStation Backbone for $10. You know I've got to pick this up. This is definitely a great pickup. I saw this and I knew I had it. If you buy these things brand new, they go for around $100 unless you can get them on sale when you'll pay about $80. But I'll clean this thing up. I did play with it a little bit and it seems to work, so I'm definitely going to have to talk about this in a video upcoming. But finding this for 10 bucks was a no-brainer for me. Continuing on, I found the glass case with the overpriced games still filled to the brim. What a shock here. Just kidding, I'm not shocked at all. Then I headed into this room, which actually had a bunch of Nintendo DS games and 3DS games, as well as a bundle for an Atari 2600 that they wanted like 400 bucks, which is absolutely crazy, and some busted up Xbox 360 consoles. Now, honestly, those kind of caught my eye, but it's not something I wanted to really pick up. Those have been there for a while. They kind of look super beat up, which is kind of probably the reason why I've been passing on them. But if they were in like good condition and like 10 or 20 bucks, I might pick them up, but I just couldn't do it today. Continuing on, I headed back towards the back where there's a few booths here that always usually have games. This one had one single game in it, and that was Madden for the Xbox original. Then I headed back into this booth that has a section of games usually, but nothing really caught my eye again here. Just more stuff that I saw that I didn't really need. Then I kept walking at the front of the store, where I ended up finding a bunch of games here, and I found a game that I don't have on the Xbox original, which is totally awesome here, and that is Big Mother Truckers 2. This was only 3 bucks, and it is complete, and you know I had to pick it up. Absolutely awesome. This game is a ton of fun to play. It's over the top. It's a cool semi-driving racing game, and for 3 bucks on the Xbox original, I might as well pick this up. I've loved this game. It's a ton of fun, and if you ever played those games back in the arcades where you could get into a semi, they used to have one for this game, and it was absolutely insane to me. Right when I went to check out, he was actually pricing a bunch of NES games there on the counter, which is absolutely crazy. He ended up putting prices on all of them, and then when I asked, hey, would you be interested in bundling them up for a price? He said, yeah, I picked these games up, and he shot me a price of 100 bucks. So let's talk about this, because this is absolutely crazy. He priced Little Nemo Dream Master for $15. These all have writing on them and aren't in good condition, but some of these games are amazing. We got Final Fantasy, the first one, for 20 bucks. Then we've got Metroid with the yellow label. It is beat up a little bit, but that's okay, for 20 bucks. We got The Legend of Zelda for 20 bucks. Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse for $25. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 10. Donkey Kong Classics for 15. And then Super Mario Bros. 3 for 15 as well. Now, when I walked up originally, these were not on the counter. However, when I went to check out, he had pulled them out and was like pricing them. And so I got super lucky, and I'm so thankful I headed in this time because this was perfect to find games. He prices games so cheaply that these things usually sell really quickly. So to find some of these games for these prices is absolutely insane. I've bought from him enough that I feel like he's willing to do a deal. And since I bought so many, he basically gave these to me for super cheap. There was what? 3, 6, there was 8 games for 100 bucks. This was an absolute amazing steal, and I cannot believe he gave me such a great deal on these. But I've been there enough that I feel like this was one of those things that occasionally, if you go into these places consistently enough, you're definitely going to find deals. And wow, these deals are absolutely insane. So I cannot believe I found these, but it was perfect timing, basically. So we kind of had some ups and downs in this video. We went to the Goodwill and found one game. Then we went to 2 places and found nothing. And here we ended up with a bunch of NES games, a GameCube, not a GameCube, an Xbox original game, and then that Backbone. This was an absolutely great time to go. So I'm really happy that I did. If you like this video, let me know, but this one was something I've been wanting to do for a little bit, and I absolutely love that I did it because it was definitely fun. But I'm going to get out of here. I'll probably clean some of this stuff up. So check that video out if you haven't already. But if there's anywhere you kind of want me to go game hunting or you want to see me do, comment down below and let me know because this was definitely worth it. But I'm going to get out of here and get these things cleaned. So check that video out if you haven't already.